Welcome, everyone, to another episode of New House, Same Address. I'm joined by Eric and Karis today. Thanks for being here.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Good.
Pretty good.
Good. Well, we have some important things to discuss. Now, this is going to be more up your alley.
Sounds so serious.
This is,
pressure's on.
Answer
like
correctly. Answer correctly or else. No. We want to talk about today the home improvement ROIs for different projects, specifically in the kitchen and bathroom realm. So I guess to start us off, and let's just define ROI. What is it? What does it mean? And why is it good?
Okay. Well,
you go ahead.
ROI stands for return on investment. So a lot of times when a homeowner is considering a large remodeling project, the first thing they want to know is how much will it add to the value of their home? Will they be able to get their money back out of it if they decide to sell? And the short answer is yes. With your return on investment for kitchens is the highest of pretty much most remodeling that you can do.
Okay.
A kitchen sells a house. When you go into a home, that's the first thing you usually see. That's the first room you want to visit. If someone knows they don't have to save up to remodel a kitchen immediately upon purchase, they're much more likely to buy into that. A lot of times people put, their savings as their down payment, and so it really does change. It persuades someone to buy your house much faster.
Okay.
The National Association of Realtors has done a lot of research on this, and generally you get back about 74% of your investment if you do a kitchen remodel. Now, second, right behind kitchen remodels are the primary bathrooms, and you get about 71% on that. They say, the kitchen sells the house, but then the next one they look at is the primary bathroom. So if those two have been remodeled, especially the combination, it can really pay off. Again, though, you still have to keep in the same line as your home. If you put in a bathroom that's way too fancy for that style of a home or in that neighborhood, then you probably won't recoup that. In fact, you're pretty much guaranteed you won't, because that would be considered overbuilding.
Okay.
So that's why we really try to help you stay in line with the design of your home and the quality of products and things like that. That does not, though, indicate what we call a joy score. So a joy score is a little different. It is your return on investment as far as what you enjoy. When someone comes to us and talks to us about a kitchen remodel, a lot of times I do remind them they are going to get a return on investment when they sell, but if they're planning on staying in their home for a long time, or, this is our forever house, that's totally different conversation. A joy score is how much more are you going to enjoy being in that room. We always hear the kitchen is the heart of the home, and if you look at the way your family operates, where do you spend the most time? Or where would you spend the most time if it were a more pleasant room? I know for me personally, if I'm cooking dinner, then someone is sitting at the island talking to me generally. Eric gets home from work, he sets his computer down, and he comes and sits at the bar, and we talk while I'm cooking dinner. Those are the type of things. If he didn't have a place to sit or it weren't comfortable, then we would miss out on that family time. And it's the same with the kids when they come in. It's a good place to do homework. Those type of things.
Okay.
It increases the value because it's more usable space.
Yeah, for the home.
And it makes me happy to be able to see everybody
I gotcha.
while I'm working all by myself.
From a realtor's perspective, you mentioned this when you were talking about people coming into a home and they always look at the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
What are people looking for as far as they're shopping around for a home when they come into the kitchen? What are some things they want to see in that kitchen that makes them fall in love with the house?
Cleanliness is one of the biggest things. It's amazing how much that matters. Clean, bright finishes, things that are obviously not worn out. I've never seen anyone say, oh, yeah, I'm just dying to have Formica countertops. They want at least granite or quartz. A lot of times if I'm showing a home, I'll go over the difference between granite and quartz, because people are like, oh, I wanted quartz, and then this has granite. I'm like, yeah, it's, the differences are minimal in some regards. So we'll go over those things when I'm showing a property, but they're going to want solid surface. They're going to want at least, updated appliances. But those are the type of things that people are looking for.
Right.
A workspace is good. Some people want double ovens. That's not something we hear too often, but it does make a difference if someone's a baker.
Right.
So it's one of those things. I'm like, if you're a baker, then put in double ovens if that's what you want, because that affects your joy score. That's not going to necessarily sell the house to the next person, to someone like me who's not a baker. But
Yeah.
Okay.
What so if we're talking about return on investment, and let's just say someone is thinking about remodeling their home, but are only going to be there a couple of years. Let's just say they have plans of moving away. What are some features of a kitchen remodel that they should be thinking about changing versus just like updating and actual replacing?
Well, if you're going to replace stuff and you're going to be moving in the next couple of years, then I would encourage you not to do anything like that's super unique or, just my style. I mean, you want to kind of come at with a little more of a general, what is the general population going to be wanting? White cabinets are still really popular, so I wouldn't go in with, some of the ones we've done are beautiful, are green. That's great, but that's a pretty specific, like, design choice, and so I wouldn't encourage you to do that if you're going to be moving. There's good reason that it was like Pantone's color of the year for cabinets. I mean, it was beautiful. They're so gorgeous, but also like that's where you would make different design choices. You would stay a little more conservative, for lack of a better term, or traditional. If you are going to do something super unique, I always encourage people to do something like a backsplash or something that could be replaced, pretty easily. You can't change the color of the cabinets or the countertops as easily or as inexpensively, but you can do a backsplash usually. So if you want to go crazy and you're only going to be there 5 years, do that on the backsplash.
Okay.
Or the handles. You can do the handles.
Wow. Very
The
cool.
jewelry of the kitchen.
Gotcha.
What about bathrooms? I'm curious. Same question for bathrooms.
It would pretty much have the same answer. Like, you would want to do something very clean and bright. Anything that makes a bathroom look bigger is going to go a long way when you're putting your house up for sale. So, bigger mirrors, lighter colors are always going to go faster. I would make sure, your colors are fairly conservative there. People like a lot of white, light colors in the bathroom. And easy to clean. That's another one. No grout is huge.
Yeah, for sure. Is there any way that homeowners can estimate by themselves the potential ROI based on selections of what they do, whether it's changing something out or just updating or anything like that? Where do you point them in the direction of somewhere?
If you're going to just go in and say update the handles, maybe put in a new mirror, stuff like that, you're going to get the majority of that back out. If you're going to take a whole bathroom remodel and you have an estimate on it, then you could use those percentages. It's not an exact science. We have, as real estate agents, we would love to have crystal balls, but we don't. Or maybe I don't want one. I don't know. It would be helpful to know.
Both a blessing and a curse.
I know. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know that I'd want to know that was coming. But no, I mean, real estate we use educated guesses a lot of times to come up with prices, and we have to use hard facts. And the market is constantly changing, so we always try to price, ahead of the market to sell a house properly. But if I can have two houses side by side that would comp for the same amount because they're in the same neighborhood, they have the same same ages, things like that, but one has a remodeled kitchen and one does not, I can get you more for the one with the remodeled kitchen all day long, and it will sell a lot faster.
Okay.
So that's also something to consider.
Yeah.
The speed at which you can sell.
For sure. So a question that might also relate towards Ozark Home Pros when it comes to remodeling bathrooms and kitchens, what are some dangers or risks that people should consider when they want to do a DIY project and also affect their ROI?
It can definitely negatively affect your ROI. If it is not done well, a good real estate agent is going to point that out. This has a new tile shower, but the tile's not even straight. It's not flat. That is an indicator to me that they have a tile person that didn't know what they were doing. I can't see if they used a waterproofing system, but if I know they can't put in tile well, it's a pretty good educated guess that they didn't use the right waterproofing system too.
Right.
So there's a lot of factors that if you are going to try to DIY, I think, we have that privilege as homeowners. If you are skilled enough to do that, go for it, but know your limits. And tile is one of those specialty things
Right.
I would not do unless you really know tile well and you use the proper systems and know how to install them, which requires special training, which most homeowners don't have.
Right. Fair enough.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, most of our clients plan on staying in the house for years.
Mm-hmm.
So the quick turn and flip is not generally someone we work with. And so I can't really speak to that exactly. Sorry. But we do have this conversation all the time. Like, how long do you plan on staying here? And the question comes up, well, are we willing to invest this much money into this house?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't answer that for you a lot of times.
Yeah.
I can give you the pros and cons of it, and only you, I say you, the homeowner, can decide, is this worth the money for me to enjoy living in this house and using it, entertaining with it
Right.
for the next 3 to 7 years? Or would I rather just, paint the cabinets, call it good, and we'll do our forever kitchen another time?
Mm.
So those are some
Right.
of the conversations we have all the time.
Mm.
And a lot of it just boils down to, how do you want to live in the kitchen for the next few
Right.
years? And if it's going to be, we don't plan to move ever, then go ahead and go all out.
Yeah.
Get what you want.
Well, that's where that joy score comes
Yeah.
in, how much you're going to enjoy it. And I mean, I've definitely run numbers for people before. This is what homes that are remodeled are going for in your neighborhood, and this is the ones that aren't. And then that helps them make their decision too. I mean, that is something we can offer.
Right.
We don't advertise that, but it is something we can do, because it is a valuable piece of information to
Right.
have if you're going to go into investing in your home this way, that you know all the factors that you can, and that definitely plays into it.
Yeah, for sure. Does the size of a bathroom or kitchen affect its ROI?
I think
Square footage wise?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Because the cost of doing a remodel project, does reflect on how big it is and how much materials, products, and such go into it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I feel like outweighs what you could get back out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just have a huge primary bathroom, walk-in shower and a freestanding tub and 16 feet of cabinets, and in my opinion, your input is valuable too, but it would be hard to get all of your money back out of it, or even maybe the 75%. I don't know, but I think
Well, I mean, it's both and, because in a 2,400 square foot house, that might be too much. In a 7,000 square foot house, that would be considered average,
Right.
So, I mean, so it's a
Yeah.
little bit different. That does play into it. The size of the home, again, it goes back to staying in the neighborhood. Don't overbuild your neighborhood. Stay in the style of the house. So it can be done easily. I mean, I have seen several bathrooms in average size homes that are oversized. A lot of times, though, there are special reasons for that. The previous homeowner's joy score needed a bigger bathroom,
Right.
or something like that, and that's perfectly fine. That's just, it plays into your decision making. So I think that's something worth considering and talking about.
Okay, gotcha.
yeah.
So you guys were talking earlier about your joy score versus just the ROI if someone's planning to move. Is there? I mean, I can imagine there's probably some people who find themselves in the middle of that. Is there any advice that you could give to them about someone, both in design aspects, but also how much to do of their kitchen or bathroom, to maybe balance a little bit more of I want a better looking kitchen, but I might stay here forever. So I don't like the functionality, but also I don't know, so I don't want to change it. Is there any advice that you could give on that type of situation, somewhere where they can meet in the middle?
Yeah. I would say spend your money on what matters. And
That was my line. I was going to say that.
well, you want to say it, and I'll just be quiet.
Finish your thought, and then I'm going to offer my thoughts.
Yeah,
on
you may
it.
have different thoughts. So spend your money on what matters, and having function is almost always at the top of our clients' list. And that's like how you entertain, how you use the kitchen every day. Things that don't matter so much or that are replaceable in 5 years, like Karis already mentioned, backsplash. You could put lesser countertops in and upgrade those in the future. Type of flooring you use. There's ways to compromise, but I wouldn't compromise on cabinetry and like the functionality and design of the kitchen. How does that line up with what you were going to say?
That goes in line with what I was going to say. There are certain things that you can do in a kitchen that if you, I know earlier I mentioned baking. If you are a baker, then I always suggest that you put in a mixer lift. It's an upgrade. It's not necessary, but it sure makes life a lot easier. And for the cost versus value, even if you didn't get that back, just using it for a couple of weeks will make you make you happy.
Yeah.
I use my mixer a lot more because it's easily accessible and I have an easy way to pull it out from underneath my counter. I'm not worried about dropping on my foot and, of course, having to have my foot put back together.
Right.
I know that if you like to do a lot of pastries, the best countertop material for pastries is marble. So marble can be expensive, but if that's something you really enjoy, then you could just upgrade just your countertops or just the island to have the best pastry countertop. There are things like that. You're not necessarily overdoing the whole kitchen, but the parts that matter to you are going to be the ones that you use. If you know that it's hard for me to see in the mornings, putting in really good under cabinet lighting. Those are some of the lesser things that you could do. I know particularly I always encourage people with hardware. Hardware is what we refer to as the jewelry of the kitchen. It can make or break it, but I always encourage them to hold on to hardware and see how it fits their hand. With my hands and Eric's hands, his fit into certain sizes better than mine are. So we try to make sure it fits whoever's going to be in the kitchen. I want to make sure it's easy for them to use. I have bigger than normal hands, I think. Maybe. I don't know. They're kind of...
Put it up here.
They're... Okay, maybe they're girl hands.
Maybe.
But I know that like the standard size handles can be somewhat like... They can hurt my fingers. And so I like to have bigger handles. That's just an odd quirk of mine. Yeah. But it does make a big difference in how much you enjoy your kitchen.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not like snagging your finger. Don't ever use like the little tiny knobs. Use bigger knobs because I'll catch my belt loop or snag almost break your finger or something. So those things like that that is definitely worth upgrading or considering, and we try to point those out.
Okay. So when it comes to ROI, it's return on investment. That's mainly what we've been discussing. But how does that translate into the actual resale value? If someone is for sure going to try to flip part of their home, upgrading their kitchen or bathroom because they know that's where the money is. How does that translate into resale value?
It just makes your home worth more. It makes your home worth more, but the biggest thing is it will make it sell faster. Okay. And when you put a house on the market, the faster it sells, the better price you're going to get. Okay. Pretty much. Your real estate agent can kind of go into all the reasons for that. But the longer it sits on the market, the less you're going to get for it. And if you have a fixed up in a remodeled kitchen versus someone else on your block, it's going to sell so much faster that you'll get a lot more money.
Okay. Fair enough. Any commentary on that, Eric?
Yeah, I think return of investment is a question that not a lot of people really think about or even is concerning to them. Especially if you're going to stay in the house forever.
Right. Then you would mainly want to look at the joy score.
Exactly.
That would be the logical conclusion.
If you're going to be in the house for another 20 or 30 years and they're just
totally different.
Rolling me out and I'm dying here, 20 or 30 years from now, that kitchen is going to be outdated and is going to need to be updated again. So that return of investment is not going to be there. Right. But the owner was able to enjoy it the whole time.
Time they were there.
And it was designed around how they use it and how, it makes sense for them.
That's good.
So, I wouldn't get too hung up on return of investment because it's not the best use of your money if you're only worried about investing. Right. We're not financial advisors here, but if investment is part of your concern, then
Well, I think it does need to affect your design choices, and it's something that when we come out, that be something you tell us.
Right.
Because then we can help point you in the right direction. Okay, this is going to help you. This is not necessarily. Here's two products. One, one might be priced very differently, and we can say, well, look, if you're just looking to move in the next year, I would go with this one versus this one.
Right.
That type of stuff. It can really give us a lot of information to be able to pass on to you that would help you get the better return on your investment.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that's all the questions that I have about that for the ROI discussion. So, well, thank you guys again for tuning in to another episode of New Home, Same Address. We'll see you next time.